Hello, I'm Richard Vobes, the Bald Explorer, out on another exploration. And today I'm in a church. I'm where am I? I'm in the western part of West Sussex, and I'm joined by the very lovely Andrew Shaxson, who has been in some of the videos we made a year ago. It's amazing. We were looking at Diddling Church and Elstead.
And the site of Trayford Church.
And the site of Trayford Church. I'll put the links to those, be worth looking at. We're not there today, but we are in the western part of West Sussex, and we're in... What church are we in looking at today?
Oh, we're in the Church of St Mary and St Gabriel at South Harting.
And South Harting, which is a beautiful village. I've been through several times, but never really stopped to have a look around. The church is quite big. Could you pinpoint exactly? It's up on a rise, isn't it?
Well, yes, if you drive into the village from perhaps the Petersfield direction, you will see that the church stands up on a slight rise, and it's got a very distinctive copper spire which was put there in the 1820s to replace shingles, and is there, having been replaced once in the 1930s, to this day.
It's a very distinctive spire, isn't it? Because I'm told you can see it from the South Downs way up on the Downs.
Oh yes, it's one of those features which has led to this church being one of several which has been called the Cathedral of the Downs. And
the Alfriston is another that's also got that appendage as well. Well, we're going to have a quick look round. Obviously, there is so much to see. Andrew's already taken us round and pointed out a million things, but we're going to have a look at just several of those things. So, first of all, shall we wander down there and have a look at the carols?
We'll look at the carols. Why not?
Why not? So we've come into the south transept, Andrew, on this very huge church. I mean, it's a big church for a relatively small village, isn't it?
Oh, it is, yes. It's, interestingly enough, the foundation of the church is in some doubt, but it could be Saxon. The nave itself is narrow and it's tall, and though obviously there were holes punched into the side to create the aisles in the 14th century, it's generally thought of that it was here before the Norman conquest. But the two transepts were built on in the 14th century, and as you say, we're in the south transept now.
So what's interesting in here are these effigies that are lying. We've got the Coopers, which are a nice colourful tiered effigy, which is obviously the tombs, presumably. And then here, much older, I think, is this Sir Richard Carroll.
Yes, Sir Richard Carroll. The Carrolls were the big landowning family here for about 200 years prior to the nouveau riche family, the Fords, who arrived and built Up Park. But the Carrolls lived at Ladyhope Park, a house which has completely disappeared. But they remained a Catholic family after the Reformation. Being double taxed, they lost a lot of money for sticking to their religion. They weren't very good managers of their affairs, and gradually they died out. And I believe there are Carrolls still in America.
Good heavens. Andrew, these are particularly interesting to me, but I think because they're in colour. You often see effigies lying in churches, and they are pretty much like Sir Richard, just the stone work. But these are fascinating because they're in colour, and it just makes them more vibrant.
Well, it does. They shouldn't really be here, of course.
Oh, should they not?
Because the Cooper family lived at Ditcham, there's now a school at Ditcham Park, but that's in Brereton parish, so they really should be in Hampshire, these three.
So why are they here then?
Search me.
Oh, right.
Though there's always been a Harting connection with that part of Brereton, but quite why, I'm not sure. But you have John and Margaret, and John's father, who's also John here.
I see, yes.
And they are late 1580s, 1590s they were put here.
Oh, okay. I mean, what's really nice is I guess if you're not too familiar with churches and you're just looking around, it really brings the clothing of the time to life with the ruffs and the type of things. Because although you can see that in the other effigies, which are just stone, it's the colour, I think, that shows you actually how vibrant people were. Certainly the richer.
Well, you say
element.
richer. You certainly wouldn't have had anybody who didn't have a fair amount of money would not have been able to have paid A for the effigy and B for the clothes that these people wear,
of course.
and which are reflected here. But there they are, and they've remained to this day.
Yes. Well, I have to say, Andrew, this is very impressive, and the fact that it's suspended above you, as an angel, but a lot more modern than our effigies.
Oh yes, 2009 that was dedicated by the Bishop of Chichester, in fact, at the time, and it was given to the church. It was given in memory of somebody's son who died young by a parishioner. And there it is. It's, as you might imagine, hanging from such slender wire. It isn't made of marble or stone. It is in fact resin by a very well-known, and indeed nationally, if not internationally well-known artist called Philip Jackson. He's done a lot of work around here, and he's got work in Chichester Cathedral and other places.
So, if you're into art and that sort of thing, it's reason enough to come in to have a look at it. It's very, very impressive.
Many people comment about it.
Do they? Yes.
For justified and good reason.
Well, that's impressive. But the thing that got me, the minute we walked through the door into the church, is what's actually standing behind us. Yes. And that's this rather amazing staircase, and that's what we're going to have a look at next. This clearly has a story all to itself, because I don't think I have ever seen a particularly beautiful or even spiral staircase other than what you might get in the pulpit. There's a story with this, isn't there?
There is indeed. I mean, prior to this being built in the 1860s, there was a ladder to the loft because there's a clock up above us, and this clock has to be wound daily, or rather had to be wound daily before it was obviously electric system was put in place. And the clock winder, it was quite a job for him to get up. And the Up Park estate said, we will pay for a spiral staircase. And the estate carpenter, a man called Thomas Blackmore, he found the straight piece of timber which makes up the central post and built this wooden spiral staircase. And as you rightfully say, everybody comes in and says, goodness me, wow.
Well, absolutely. Presumably that's oak then, is it?
It is oak.
Yeah.
Oh yes, it's all oak.
So far easier to go up there now and wind the clock. Well, not that you have to.
Doesn't have to be.
Doesn't have to be, but you've got this wonderful thing here.
That's right.
Also out of wood are your rather spectacular roofs. It is a big church, isn't it?
It certainly is. And as you will have noticed when you come in here, the chancel is actually wider than the nave, which indicates that it is a younger structure.
Do you know, I hadn't actually, hadn't noticed that till you mentioned it, but it's when you look back, you can see that it is wider.
Yes, there's something quite different about this part of the church.
Absolutely, and not least this magnificent roof.
There is. But what happened was, whilst, as I say, the original structure of a nave is really very old, and the rest is 14th century, there was a major and catastrophic fire here in 1576, as a result of which they had to replace some of the structure and also all the roofs, whereas the roof of a nave and the two transepts are very high quality wagon roofs. This is better still. This is something of very high quality indeed, and you only have to look at it to see it.
And this is a queen post roof, is that right?
A queen post roof, yes, obviously off buttresses on the side.
Yeah. And do you think that's what it had before? Who knows? Who knows?
Who knows?
Yes,
but
true.
one thing we do know, when the roof was replaced, they obviously replaced all of the tiles on it. And not so many years ago, the roof was retiled, and they were able to reuse most of those tiles again, tiles which were over 400 years old.
Wow, so that's really nice, isn't it? It just shows you how, as you said before, how durable tiles can be.
Oh, indeed, yes.
You've got some beautiful windows here, which are obviously much younger windows than they appear, because they look like lancets, but they're Victorian?
They are Victorian, put in about 1858. They were put in by Lady Featherstone Hoare, who was in fact the much, much younger wife of her husband. Her husband was a bachelor until he was 71, when Sir Harry Featherstone Hoare married his dairymaid, who was only 20.
So,
as you can imagine, it scandalised the neighbourhood.
Absolutely, 50-year difference.
Yes.
That is amazing. And is that the memorial on the wall then?
Yes, there's a memorial to him. So not only the windows in his memorial, there's a memorial plate as well. But he lived until he was 91.
I'm not surprised.
Seemed to do him no harm.
Absolutely, amazing. Oh, it's still raining out here, Andrew. Not to worry. I know there's one more interesting aspect that you wanted to point out. We won't go around there because of the wetness, but what was that?
Well, there's a rather fine war memorial just to the northern side of the church, and that was designed by Eric Gill and obviously put up after the First World War, and has fairly recently been given a Grade 2 star listing.
Wow.
And, well, as shots will show, it's very fine indeed.
Indeed. Well, Andrew, it's a shame that we haven't been able to walk around on the outside, but it is actually pouring with rain. Thank you so much for taking me around South Harting Church. It's been an absolute pleasure. Do, if you get a chance, come and have a look at some of the exhibits that we've looked at. It is certainly worth it.
It is.
But in the meantime, don't forget to follow, like and subscribe, become a patron, give me a thumbs up if you've enjoyed the video. Leave a comment if you know the church or you know more of the history or anything you want to add. It'd be lovely to hear from you. But in the meantime, Andrew, thank you so much.
Thank you.
I think we'll go inside and make a cup of tea if we can.
I think it's a very good idea.
Yes. Till next time, bye-bye.
Goodbye.
Have they got a kettle in here?